Tonight, the Breeders' Crown comes to beautiful Louisville Downs in Louisville, Kentucky for the aged horse and gelding trot. Breeders' Crown 86 is being brought to you by the nationwide investment firm of First Jersey Securities. Come grow with us. By Castleton Farms, a tradition of excellence. And by Louisville Downs. As they turned for home in last year's rendition of this race, it was not horse versus horse, but Sandy Bowl against the clock. And he was successful in that battle as well, setting a world record of 156-3. Now tonight, can the Super Bowl legacy continue? Manfred Hanover, a Gatorade guzzling 6-year-old who's a winner of 17 of 18 starts this year, is the main hope. And the Breeders' Crown Series has come to Louisville, about a 5-minute ride from the airport on really a beautiful night, a bit humid, but a nice crowd on hand for a big race. And tonight's Breeders' Crown confrontation certainly is a stellar lineup, but we've got some very unusual sports stories to go with the matchups. We have the obligatory rags to riches story. That's a horse by the name of Nearly Perfect, who was a $10,000 yearling. And we've got the reverse. There was a horse called Manfred Hanover who was sold for $75,000 with a lot of promise back in 1981, but peddled off in '83 for only $8,500. But he's back, and he's 6 years old, and he's here tonight. And he's going for the major share of that $250,000 pot. Maybe because the new owners found the secret. Yeah, you saw it at the top of the show, Gatorade. And how about a horse by the name of Why Not? He came to the races in June, and he was so late getting to the races in 1986 because he was busy at the stud barn. But now that the breeding season is over, well, he's ready for a little more action, but it's going to be here on the track tonight. And we throw in a few homebreds, we throw in a few fine Scandinavian horsemen, and we throw in a wily Hall of Fame driver by the name of Stanley Dancer. And what we come up with is one heck of a trot. And we're delighted to be bringing you the action and the color and the excitement live from Louisville Downs. I'm Dave Johnson. Joining me on the program, my colleagues Ellie Sarama and Alan Kirschenbaum. And we'll be back with the post-parade right after we take this brief time out. So come on back with us at Louisville. And here's the entire field for tonight's big race with a morning line and driver assignments. We have an entry of Why Not with John Campbell, coupled with Nearly Perfect and Mickey McNichol, starting at 5-2. That's 2.5 to 1. Master Willie with Jan Nordin at 12. Jacinto with Ron Waples at 15. The 4-horse Manfred Hanover's the starting morning line favorite, 8-5 with Mark Jordan. Megatron with Bernt Lindstedt at 8. Mark 6 with Jimmy Takter at 12. And Pig Bar with Stanley Dance, who starts at 3-1. Joining me here, right next to the track, is trainer Ellie Sarama. Ellie, how do you split up these 8 stars?
It's really tough, Dave. As we've seen in the past, this type of race has the upper echelon and the also-rans. However, tonight's a little different. The also-rans should deserve some credit also. Mark 6, Master Willie, Why Not? They were all exceptional horses in the past. 2- and 3-year-old major stakes events winners. They just haven't come around as age trotters.
Well, they're on the track now. They've come around to the track. So, Ellie, let's have your comments. Let's take a look at the field. Here is number 1, Why Not, with John Campbell in the bike.
He won the $1 million Peter Houghton Memorial for 2-year-old trotters at 3, a major stakes winner, and as an aged horse, never developed into a bona fide free-for-all trotter, raced in 2 previous Breeders' Crowns, but had no luck, finished 8th in one event and 7th in the other.
Now, the bargain hunters can jump on this one because you also get 1A Nearly Perfect with Mickey McNichol.
A son of Songcan holds the world record for age trotting stallions of 154, has close to $500,000 in lifetime earnings, totally dominated the open trots, and he was ineligible to the Breeders' Crown last year because his sire wasn't nominated, but he's in it tonight as one of the top contenders.
And Master Willie is just behind in front of the stands now, and that's Jan Nordin driving.
As a 3-year-old, he won the Yonkers Trot and the Dexter Cup in New York. He's been plagued with lameness throughout his career, and I'm sure that's probably why he hasn't shown his ability this year that made him the great colt he was at 3.
Number 3 is Jacinto, and Ron Waples in the blue and gold there.
He's won several condition trots, a lifetime mark of 157-2, but even with post position 4, I can't imagine him being very competitive up against this field of open trotters. He really hasn't proved himself yet.
And now the Gatorade Guzzler, the 8-5 morning line choice. Here's Manfred Hanover with Mark Jordan driving.
The leading 2-minute trotter in the history of the sport with 28 miles to his credit. This is his first start back from a 3-month layoff after being sidelined with a broken bone. The biggest question about Manfred, is he ready? Is he tight enough? Is he sharp enough with no starts under his belt?
Quite a tough assignment. Megatrend is number 5, and Bernd Lindstedt gets the driving assignment.
Since moving into the Continental stable, he's probably one of the most improved trotters this year, making his way from conditions to open trots. And an interesting note, he's got a lifetime mark of 59 3.5, and that's the track we're on tonight.
And Mark 6 is number 6. Jimmy Takter drives, and there he is right there.
He was a top 3-year-old contender, won divisions and eliminations of major stake races. He's off to a slow start this year, but $750,000 in lifetime earnings. He has all the credentials needed to turn it around.
And Ellie, how about Pigvar, number 7, Stanley Dancer, the Hall of Famer drives.
He's defeated the majority of horses he's in against tonight. Unfortunately, the odds are not in his favor by drawing post position 8. Stanley felt a bad post was the major reason he lost the International, but I think he's coming into this race in peak form, and I think that's going to make the difference.
Well, folks, you've met all of our 8 performers. Now, let's join Alan Kirschenbaum for, well, a close-up look at the top contenders, and maybe he'll help you sort them out for your pick. Alan?
Thank you, Dave. Tonight's field at Louisville, well, there are 3 horses that I think could win the Breeders' Crown tonight, but each one of the 3 is going to have to overcome his own specific problem. Manfred Hanover, whose Gatorade gorging made him a media celebrity earlier in the year, needs no such gimmicks once he sets his trotting feet on the racetrack. In the upcoming mile, you'll see here, Manfred Hanover chalked up his 26th lifetime sub-2-minute victory, breaking the Immortal Greyhound's record of 25. But he's been sidelined since a fractured splint bone and subsequent operation 3 months ago, and trainer Whitey Shapansky has admitted he wished he had a few more weeks to get his horse ready. But the Iron Horse Manfred Hanover, if any horse can do it, he can. Pigvar, on the other hand, is coming to this race in superb shape, winning his last 2 starts, and this son of Bonefish has really become a true free-for-all trotter as a 4-year-old. Here you'll see him winning the Challenge Cup for driver Stanley Dancer, beating a field of invitational international horses, including the winner of last week's Breeders' Crown aged mare Trot. That would be Grade Singing. She'll finish 2nd, but Pigvar dominates this field. However, he does have his problem to work out, and that's the fact that he has the 8 post position. The outside post position usually means curtains. On a small half-mile track like this, driver Stanley Dancer is going to have to get him out of the gate fast. And what about Nearly Perfect, who was just that earlier in the season once Manfred left the Meadowlands? He has all the speed in the world and all the courage in the world, and that has enabled him to get over some physical problems that might have stopped the lesser horse. What you'll see here is Nearly Perfect trotting the fastest mile in the history of the Meadowlands for aged horses. He's going to win in 1:54, and that's Pigvar you see struggling to keep up. He will not be able to. He'll be 5 lengths worse, but Nearly Perfect has never been at his best on a small half-mile track. Dave?
Well, the track was fast when the sun went down. Then about 7 o'clock, the rain really came down, and it's labeled as good right now as we get ready for our big race. We'll be back after these messages. Well, here's what they're doing at the track in the mutual windows. They've bet the entry of Why Not and Nearly Perfect down to 4-5. Master Willie is up to 7. Jacinto is at 50-1. Manfred Hanover, the early morning choice, is now maybe a bargain at 5-2. I guess they think he just can't come back after that 3-month sidelines. Megatrend is at 20. Mark 6 is at 35. And Pigvar is at 4. You know, on our last show, our jewel of the crown was Hervé Filion, perhaps the greatest driver in the history of the sport. It's a much more difficult task to summarize this week's jewel in one line. As an owner, a breeder, a horseman, an administrator, and as a businessman, he's been among the most successful men in harness racing for 40 years. Alan Kirschenbaum spoke with this week's jewel of the crown, Norman Woolworth.
Norman Woolworth, whose Clearview stable will start Pigvar in tonight's Breeders' Crown, has proven that it's possible to be a true sportsman and a financial success at the same time. Through 40 years of ups and downs, his enthusiasm for harness racing has remained intact, and his involvement in the sport has encompassed the complete spectrum of activities. He's been a rousing success at all of them. All but one, that is.
Yeah, I used to drive in amateur races, but I also drove in the fair circuit in Maine, and I drove at Foxborough and Rockingham, around there. I did drive once at Yonkers, but I gave that up because every caddy from the local golf courses where I used to play all came out and started screaming at me from the fence, and I said, never again.
As co-proprietor of Stoner Creek Stud Farm, his greatest success was purchasing, racing, and overseeing the breeding career of the great Meadow Skipper.
Well, he revolutionized the whole harness business. I don't think it's exaggerating if I say 90% of the top pacers in the industry today have Meadow Skipper in their pedigree somewhere, either their dam or a grand dam, or still he has a lot of his own progeny racing. There was only one Meadow Skipper.
The long list of outstanding Clearview horses, trained in recent years by Stanley Dancer, includes Smokin' Yankee, the brilliant trotting filly Fillet of Soul, who is a full sister to tonight's Breeders' Crown horse Pigvar, French Chef, the great son of Meadow Skipper, who has taken his daddy's place in the Stoner Creek Stud Barn, and the dramatic 1983 Hambletonian winner Duenna. The current star is Pigvar, and he's primed for the Breeders' Crown.
It'll be a very exciting evening, and I look forward to it because the Breeders' Crown has become something special in the sport.
And there is number 7. That's Pigvar, 3-1 on the morning line. But as I look over on the tote board, I see that he is up to 12-1. Come on back after these messages. They're on the turn. We're going to throw it up now to the track announcer here at Louisville Downs, Jack Berry, for the call of the race. Jack?
These 8 Breeders' Crown Trotters in the stretch, all on gate nicely. They're often trotting nearly perfect out for the lead. Pigvar fires out from the extreme outside. Down along the rail, it's Master Willie. They're 3 wide into the turn. Master Willie on the inside. On the outside now, nearly perfect. Gets a neck in front. Looking for a hole third is Pigvar. Down along the rail, 4th, Why Not? Jacinto comes 5th. It's a gap of 2. Manfred Hanover is 6th. Another 2 lengths. Megatrend Mark 6 gets away as the trailer. They race down to the first quarter. Nearly Perfect has made the top at the quarter in 28-3. Parked out now a second is Pigvar. Along the rail, racing a third is Master Willie. A long length and a half. 4th is Why Not? Jacinto on the rail 5th. Manfred Hanover is 6th. They swing out of the turn and into the stretch, passing the stands. Nearly Perfect, customarily on the front end. Parked, going the long mile now. Pigvar is 2nd. Rough gated now, off stride. Master Willie off stride at the half in 57-3. Manfred Hanover moves to the outside. He's now 3rd. Into the lower turn. The leader is Nearly Perfect. Pigvar is on the rail 2nd. Racing 3rd now still is Jacinto. Manfred Hanover hung out there 4th. He's under a drive. Manfred Hanover is 4th. He's 3rd. It's a gap of 4 after the first 4. Coming now a 5th is Megatrend, and then Mark 6. Down to the 3 quarters. Nearly Perfect on top. Pigvar moves to the outside. 3 quarters, 127-4. Around the final turn, the leader is Nearly Perfect. On the outside, 2nd, Pigvar. Struggling 3rd is Manfred Hanover, and on the rail 4th, Jacinto. They're at the head of the stretch. Down the lane, Nearly Perfect with the lead. Driving on the outside is Pigvar. Manfred Hanover is 3rd. The winner of this Breeders' Crown for aged trotters, Nearly Perfect. 157-2.
Thank you, Jack Berry. Nearly Perfect. And almost a perfect mile there. 157-2, the final clocking, and it was Nearly Perfect trotting there in front at every step of the mile. 28-3 the quarter, 57-3 the half, 127-4, and it was Mickey McNichol guiding Nearly Perfect home for this wire-to-wire victory. Pigvar taking the long mile, not able to do it, and Manfred Hanover not able to come off that long rest. Master Willie, with fans from Maine to McFarland, Wisconsin, could not come back after breaking stride. That's the unofficial finish. Nearly Perfect, who is coupled with Why Not, the unofficial winner of the Breeders' Crown. We'll be back with more after this. That's That's Nearly Perfect, who turned in a great track record mile in 1:57.2 this evening. And Ellie, how about those fractions in that final time?
Well, the final time, Dave, is a track record, but also an age trotting horse world record on a half-mile track. And it's really funny because Nearly Perfect was the horse that really didn't like the half-mile track.
They say a good horse can race over anything, including broken bottles. This one got right to the front, never looked back, and Mickey McNichol guided Nearly Perfect to the track record here this evening. As you can see, they're getting ready for the hardware presentations out there, but a lot of action on the track just earlier. Let's take a look at the replay. And Alan Kirschenbaum, what's going on over there in the winner's circle?
Well, we've got Mickey McNichol over here in the winner's circle. Mickey won a Breeders' Crown last year with Jeff Spice, but I'm sure with this horse from his own stable, it's got to be a little more satisfying.
That it is, Alan. Thank you.
Nearly Perfect, a very fast horse. Some people say that racing on a half-mile track decided by the post position draw. We'll go right to the replay here. Mickey, did you know your horse could get out of there faster than any of them?
Well, I kind of like the, it's a half mile, but the turns are kind of big, and I kind of thought he'd get to the front pretty quick, and if somebody got there quick enough to beat me to the front, I would have let him go, but the way the race formed, I just went to the front and stayed there.
You've had a lot of good trotters for Jack Landis. You had two in the race here today. Jack Landis, of course, the proprietor of the Sunbird stable. You had Why Not and Nearly Perfect. You've had Another Miracle. You've had Jazz Cosmos. How does Nearly Perfect shape up in that bunch?
He is my favorite. Him and Jazz probably about equal. But this horse has overcome a lot of physical difficulties and a lot of, problems along the way. And I really like the horse above and beyond everything else he does.
You had Nearly Perfect in front the whole way. Did you ever think you could have lost this race?
Not really, no. No, Stanley's horse, Pig Bar, won a very good trip. He was outside of me most of the mile, but things were well in hand, I think, as you can see through the stretch. And Manfred, I guess, just didn't fire his first start.
What's next for Nearly Perfect?
Maybe stud duty, maybe back to the races next year. It's kind of up in the air right now.
Will he race again this year?
I don't know.
Now, one last thing you have to say, Mickey.
Hi, Melissa.
Mickey McNichol wins the Breeders' Crown with Nearly Perfect. Back to you, Dave.
And let's see what you win if you played the entry across the board. It was Nearly Perfect coupled with Why Not, and the number one entry pays $360, $260, and $220. Pigvar $320 and $240, and Manfred Hanover third at $2.40. And Ellie, let's start with Manfred Hanover in our wrap-up. Now with this race under his belt, can he be a factor for the rest of the year?
Well, I think he could be. He may need another start or two. Dealing with this caliber horses, he's going to have to race against open trotters, so he may need one more start under his belt.
And what about Pigvar? That was a giant mile against a track record on the outside the whole trip.
An incredible mile. He was parked probably past the 5/8 pole and ducked in because Master Willie made a break and still hung on for a very tough second.
And the winner?
The winner went an unbelievable mile. Mickey just went to the front and never looked back and did an excellent job.
So, as they say, from flag fall to that's all, the wire-to-wire victory this evening for Nearly Perfect. And we've had a ball bringing it to you. The official order of finish from top to bottom, Nearly Perfect in 1:57 and change. Pigvar, followed by Manfred Hanover, Jacinto, Mark 6, Why Not, Megatrend, and Master Willie. It was 1:57 and 2 was the final time there. Aged horse and geldings on the trot. And the winner's circle ceremony just about complete out there, and the big smile on Mickey McNichol, who's had some real nice horses, but he has to really think about this one as one of his best. I believe that's Stan Bergstein, the executive director of the Harness Tracks of America, making the trophy presentation in the winner's circle. Well, what do you think, Ellie? Where are we going to see this horse show up next?
Well, I don't think Mickey McNichol knows himself right now. I believe Alan asked him in the winner's circle. I believe they're hoping to have him at stud duties. I don't know if they're going to take the entry also. Why not back to stud duties? But I guess it's a decision that they're all going to have to make. I don't think there's any more major stake races for him. I think the Breeders' Crown is it.
Once again, the prices for this evening's edition of the Breeders' Crown, $360, $260, and $220 for the entry of Nearly Perfect and Why Not. With Pigvar coming in second, it's $320 and $240, and Manfred Hanover third at $2.40. Louisville Downs was the site. of this evening's Breeders' Crown Stop. Be sure to be with us 2 weeks from tonight when we travel west to Los Alamitos in California for the Aged Horse and Gelding Pace. Please note that our airtime will be live at 12 midnight Eastern Time. That'll be 9 p.m. Pacific Time. Breeders' Crown 86 has been brought to you by Castleton Farms, a tradition of excellence, and by the nationwide investment firm of First Jersey Securities. Come grow with us. Once again, tonight's Breeders' Crown champion, nearly perfect. Wire to wire.